Earlier this month, investigators with NASA's historic OSIRIS-REx mission held a press conference reporting some of their initial findings at the asteroid Bennu. As you know, if you've seen some of our previous Space News interviews with Eugene Bagashov, this is one of two recent space missions to asteroids. The other is a mission by the Japanese spacecraft Hayabusa 2 to the asteroid Ryugu. Now, one fact that Eugene has remarked upon is how strikingly similar those two asteroids appear. They both have, I guess, what you would call a diamond-like appearance, both with sort of spinning top shapes. They both have raised equators.
Yeah, what does...
Well, today we're going to focus on NASA's
Does anyone really
OSIRIS-REx
understand
mission, and some of the
the relevance
revelations
of
that
any of
are
this?
actually quite incredible when you think about them. And which, again, like every historic mission to comets, they have completely confounded the predictions based on standard theory. They have...
Okay, so what's going on here is that a lot of folks don't have any idea why this matters. This is the worst part about science, is that no one cares about this stuff because no one gets why it matters if we're wrong or not.
Have, however, confirmed the so-called radical predictions of the electric universe theory. At this point, the most interesting thing to me is the clear evidence for relatively small 11 separate occasions over a period of just a few weeks, which was completely unexpected. This calls to mind for me one of my favorite episodes of Space News, which was a report on an asteroid which suddenly sprouted 6 comet-like tails. And I remember one of the investigators stating, "It's hard to believe we're looking at an asteroid." In that case...
So when people say in science, it's hard to believe that we're looking at blah, 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 what they're saying is that I was wrong about what I thought I was going to say. So that means that everything I'm going to say now is a lie.
The explanation astronomers favored was that radiation pressure from sunlight, called the York effect, caused a sudden rapid...
The York effect? That's fantastic. Another thing that scientists love to do is to create something that is obviously hilariously funny and is obviously comedy, but yet be straight-faced and cold about it so that you go along with it. Because what they've done here, they've come up with a word that is actually someone's Yokorsky, O'Keefe. I mean, stop it. OMG, get it? Yort, OMG, oh my God, get it? That's all they're doing here, so, yeah.
An increase in the asteroid's rotation, which then caused material to be flung out into space, and then radiation from sunlight stretched and confined the dust to form the collimated jets. And now again, this time at asteroid Bennu, NASA scientists tell us that they've observed a rapid increase in the asteroid's rotation. And once again, the best explanation they offer is the York effect, a rapid increase in rotation supposedly caused by radiation.
Okay, let's skip ahead here.
Theory, if not identical, because they were both born in the same events. We have proposed they were torn from the surfaces of planetary bodies relatively recently, only several thousands of years ago. And we propose that comet activity, whether it's on a comet or on an asteroid, has nothing to do with sublimation of ices and other volatiles.
Asteroid Bennu and presence of...
So what's important to understand is that they're saying that all the mythology of yesteryear is explainable by events that are within our recordable time frame, and the folks of the time, that's the only thing they could come up with as to what was going on. As the Mythbusters would explain, plausible. opposed to the ridiculous time frames that were given about what's really been happening, which unfortunately gives the Bible folks more creed. I'm not for it, but leave the godness out, but leave in all the gods, plural, being just crazy stuff happening in the sky, before TV.
Dust and gas circling around the sun. It's never been shown that this actually works. But of course, having once established some of these planets, they tend to scoop up the remnants of gas and dust. But some objects which have collided with one another, and once again, we need collisions in this model, are supposed to have produced fragments which form the asteroids, and particularly those between Mars and Jupiter. The comets, on the other hand, are supposed to be primordial objects which have been knocked into the solar system, and therefore...
Why does any of this matter? For those of you with incredibly dry humor, you got that.
In the standard thinking, are more composed of dust and frozen gases. So they're more like an dusty ice ball or an icy dust ball.
He said ball. Taste it around.
All of the observations that have been made close up of both comets and asteroids now show that they don't look any different, really. And in fact, asteroids have been known to light up.
Okay, I'm going to have to pause for a moment here and try to get to some relevant information for the human audience. Hold, please.
Water ice on the surfaces of comets.
Okay, water ice, that doesn't matter.
So
here we go. They're finally going to talk about something that matters.
In the comet.
Here it comes.
The electric universe expects any object on a slightly elliptical orbit or a very elliptical orbit to experience changes in voltages, which are sufficient to cause an object in space, in a conductive plasma, to begin discharging. And in the diffuse vacuum of space, the number of charge carriers available mean that that discharge won't look like lightning or anything like it. It will be a glow discharge and a cathode jet, as it's called. A cathode jet.
Okay, so finally, they, where are we? We're halfway through the video, and for those of us who are interested but don't care about science, he's finally gotten to the point where the electricness of the whole space thing is displaying itself. So again, who cares? So let's help ourselves out with trying to understand that if there's electricness in space, then this doesn't hurt the whole Star Trek universe. It helps it. See, now we can actually use electricity for propulsion in space. Yeah, this is where we can now apply some of the, they just go on and on about how they want to be all correct about the universe being electric. But again, no one cares if they're right because they don't see where it's applicable to space travel. I really wish the thorny guy would stop talking about the fact that they're right, because I mean, the only way to show you're right is to give us something. You guys know what I'm saying? Shut up.
Removes material from a surface, it machines it. It's called electric discharge machining, and it has very characteristic effects on the surface of anything that's being machined in that fashion. Almost every image of a discharging comet also has these bright spots on the surface, and they tend to be aligned in exactly the places, the high points and so on, and edges of scarps that you would expect in an electric discharge, which always concentrates on edges and points. The other thing is that the erosion of the Comet Tempel 1, caused the scarps to recede. Now, there's no reason known why comets should have any geological type of relief at all, because if it's merely an icy ball sublimating into space, it should smooth the surface, not create a geological looking surface.
That's very important. So I hope everyone got the part where, snowballs, this is what he was trying to say. That was very bad what he said. Because again, blah, 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 blah. That's what everyone else heard. But this is what he was trying to say. He was saying that, when in the cartoons, when they roll a snowball down the slope, it gets bigger and smoother. In space, that's what would happen to something, but in reverse, it would get smoother and smaller. Whereas it would be weird if when a snowball was rolling downhill, it didn't get rounder. It got shapes of statues on them. That's what he meant to say. That's translating science. Idiots.
The surface, close-up surface shots of Comet 67P show all sorts of things, like the neck appears to be differently.
Okay, I got to stop this. This is again more boring.
Also,
explaining,
layering,
mansplaining, I think is what they call this. Hold on, let me pause again.
I'd like to take a moment.
Okay, they're going to say something important again, maybe.
Dr. C.J. Ransom performed in 2004. The two of you performed many electrical discharge experiments to different types of minerals and sands, and these included the most common minerals found on planetary surfaces. We've noted countless times Dr. Ransom's results producing electrically generated spherules, which replicate the so-called Martian blueberries. But the ramifications for these experiments.
I'm sorry about this, really. Please, hang in.
Mars.
Sorry.
As you can see on this table, which was featured in the paper that we're linking to in the description box, these electrical discharge experiments produced varieties of spherules, which reproduce many, if not most, of the familiar types of rocky celestial bodies.
Okay, say what? I'm sorry. Again, what they're trying to explain is that electricity from, the sky, when it hits the ground, it makes sand into round circles, different kinds of sand or dirt. Again, I'm sorry, but this is all very important stuff in some way, because if you believe in things that, I'm sorry. Let me again. This is very hard to go through. I understand why everyone thinks science is bullshit. Yep. Hold on. Let me pause and see if I can get through this. Holy shit! It's only 20 minutes, and I'm trying to. Yeah. Wow. Hold on. Okay. They're finally going to say something specific again.
Each individual body. However, through the simple process of electric arcs blasting these common planetary surface materials,
as I said earlier,
we see produced stunning analogs of countless unique forms of rocky bodies.
There we go.
Yeah, that's right. And this gets back to the history aspect. NASA believes in the clockwork, largely undisturbed for billions of years, story of the planets. And yet, when we look at the cratering on the moon,
this is important.
Some of the other features on
none of those are asteroid impacts.
Comets, it doesn't appear to show this pleasant, undisturbed kind of surface features that you might expect. Even on the Earth, it's ignored. You see sharp mountain peaks in the Alps and so on, and you think, well, if that's been there for millions of years, how come it looks so sharp? But there is a strange blindness instituted by the way we're taught. We're not taught to think about things in such...
Okay. So again, not to scare anybody, but all the really big mountains were created overnight, is what he's trying to say. And when we say overnight, we mean over a couple of minutes. Because a planet wasn't going to hit us because it was going by so fast, but it went by so fast, so close, created such a big arc that it melted large arcs of surface up into the. You get it? You get it? That's what he's getting at. So this again explains all the gods and all the craziness. Because you imagine if the planet was quiet, we probably wouldn't think of such. Never mind, getting philosophical. Who knows what we think of?
Detail.
We're stupid.
When that detail doesn't fit the standard story that is trying to be hammered into us. And the result is we're turning out highly intelligent people who have been trained not to see certain things. And in the case of Comet 67P, these inexplicable things tend not to be shown anymore.
Okay, I have no idea why this is important anymore. It's getting boring, but it's just a little thingy. I think the most important part is that, everything out in the space, for propulsion wise, for all of you people who are actually trying to do something that matters, instead of study the fuck out of things, you want to make stuff that's cool and get us out in the solar system. Let's work on, now that battery power density has gotten to a reasonable point, start working on things that use electricity propel itself in the supposed vacuum of space. Thank you very much. Trying to help.